Hey guys, it's Marina with Artworthy Life, where I teach Christ-centered art journaling that gets you into God's Word every day. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to day 4 of the Doodle a Day October. And so I am experimenting today, so I hope that you guys can be a little bit patient with me. I am going ahead and trying to go on Instagram as well. And because it requires more than one device, it's taking me just a little bit to figure it out. So give me just a second while I say hello to Instagram. And hopefully it will actually go. Okay, so give me a second while I'm trying to figure this one out. It's checking connection. Say hello if you're on right now. Alrighty, I'm going to say hi to Instagram. Hi, Instagram. This is Marina with Artworthy Life, where I teach Christ-centered art journaling that gets you into God's Word every day. And this is my first time being live on Instagram as well as Facebook. So I'm going to kind of juggle these two things as I go. But we are on day 4 of our Doodle a Day program in October Doodle a Day challenge. So hello, Pam on Facebook. Hi, Anita. Are you guys happy Facebook is back up? It's not crazy weird, huh? So I'm going to go ahead and figure this one out. You can see I'm holding my other phone right here, but I'm going to switch it so I can see the table on Instagram. So if you're watching on Instagram, hang tight while I wait for Instagram to tell you I'm live. Hi, Terry. Good morning. Hello, Bonnie. Really, really fun to have you all on. So let me go ahead and give you guys a little sneak peek of the doodle we're doing today. And that was posted already. So if you did not see that, go back and check out the post on Facebook. And there's a link on Facebook to download this free tracer. So what we have today is a really cute little deer with some leaves. And guess who came up with that idea? She's on live right now on Facebook. Hey, Leslie Ann, good morning. It was Terry's idea, and I thought it was a great idea, kind of inspired by the donkey we did with the poinsettia leaves around it last year for Christmas time. So I thought that was a great idea. I'm really glad that she thought of that. And I think we're ready to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this camera around for Instagram. Instagram people, I'm sorry, you're kind of crazy jumping around today. But I'm going to go ahead and try to hook it up so that you guys can see what's going on here. So hang tight. And Facebook people, thank you for your patience. YouTube people, thank you for your patience. Give me a second. I'm still figuring this out. I think I need to do this. Okay. Not sure exactly if that's gonna work. We'll see. I suppose I can maybe I can put it like maybe a little closer might be better. And I don't know if Instagram will rotate if I do this. Probably not. I think Instagram is pretty stuck. Look at me trying to do Instagram. You guys see this? Okay. I'm going to figure it out eventually, but for right now, I'm just going to use this phone stand. And this is what technology looks like behind the scenes, guys. It's so interesting to see everything come through so clearly on one end when you're just, you're trying to get it all to work. Okay, I think that'll work for Instagram. This is the weirdest little rig I've had going, but I think it'll work, and hopefully everybody can see. So hopefully that works. I'm going to plug in this phone. Thank you guys for your patience. Pam is getting an echo. Okay, she's getting an echo. Are you still getting an echo? Hello. Are you getting an echo now, Pam? I'm wondering. It might be my second camera. Tell me if you are. Do my best to fix it. Let's see how it goes. And everybody else tell me if you hear an echo. All right, thank you for your patience as I'm trying to set this up. This is an interesting little setup, but it's gonna work. The room sounds empty, Mom says. Oh, okay, so it sounds just a little bit kind of a echoey room. That's really interesting. I did turn the volume all the way down there, and it's muted. Coming with 2 devices. Okay. All right. I'm going to see if I can fix that. So give me just a second. I'm going to let the Instagram people just sit here and look at my pretty face. You guys are my tech team back there. So give me a second while I try to figure this out. So let's see. Now you get to see me twice. Let me just make sure that I have everything turned down. All right. How is that? Is that a little better on sound? Do you guys hear an echo anymore? All righty, Instagram. I'm going to put you back up here so you can see what's going on right there. Okay. How about that? Okay, Mom says that sounds better. All right, we're going to get right into it. Today is day 4 of the October Doodle a Day. We're going to do this cute little deer here. If you don't have your download already, go ahead and go to the link. If you're on Instagram, the link is in my bio. If you are on Facebook, it's in the post that I just made. Pam, she says it's not an echo. It's repeating everything I say. Okay. Is it still doing it, Pam? And is it doing it for anybody else? Because I need to know, because otherwise I'll have to fix something or turn something off for sure. All right, we have this little tracer that's that is downloadable. I feel like I heard a little echo. That was interesting. Okay. Oh, and there's a little delay on my camera too. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll work out technology. Yesterday was weird. Today's even weirder, but we'll work it out. Okay, so here's our little tracer. And grab your watercolor supplies, your little paint brushes that look like something like this, if you have something this size. And then we will work on this little deer. So first thing I want you guys to do is, oops, let me make sure this is not going to fall. First thing I want you guys to do is grab, whoa, and there it went. This is crazy, you know. I need a better setup, but this is going to have to work for today. We are going to start off with our Como Rebby watercolor set, and I put those supplies on this banner. Usually Instagram, you can't see this banner, but here's the supplies if you guys want to grab those. It's Como Rebby Mozart watercolor set, and then you want to have a couple of small brushes available to you as well. So we're going to start off with the deer. And I like to have a little reference photo nearby. Basically, I just looked up a picture of a deer head, like one that had been, hung on a wall, that kind of thing. And so let's see. I'm going to just have that up on my screen. But if you guys want to ever draw anything similar to this, just grab a reference photo that you can use. That's the best way to go. And I'm going to go ahead and move that banner so it's out of the way. But I also want to start off with some scripture, because that's where I like to start every day and get us off on the right foot. So we're going to read a little bit more of the Sermon on the Mount, the Sermon on the Mount, and we are going to read starting in verse 13 of chapter 5. So this is Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. And that's ending in verse 16. So that was a really good verse to read, just to encourage us to be the light of the world. Don't hide our faith under a bushel, and encourage others to also be confident, be bold about our faith, and share the light of Christ. And most of all, share it so that it glorifies God in heaven, because it's not about us, it's about him. Alrighty, I have 2 water jars. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. I normally have 2 jars of water. So when you're doing your watercolors, it's a good idea to have 1 jar of clean water and 1 jar of water to clean your brush. And then I also have some watercolor paper. Now, several people asked this, which is why I'm doing this live here. We are pre-cutting our little piece of watercolor paper to the measurement of 2 inches by 2 inches. So I'm just going to cut that live while I'm on here. And the way I measure that, I can just grab a ruler or whatever and just measure out 2.5 inches this way, right there, and then take a little pencil or something and mark 2.5 right there. And then I'll just use my paper trimmer. Put that little dot right there on the line. Make sure it's centered up and cut. I know it's 2.5 inches wide. Now I just need to make sure this is 2.5 inches. And trim off the end if it's not. Whoops, this way. So 2.5 inches, it's almost there, but not quite. And I can just take my pencil and mark it there. And that's one of the reasons I love a doodle a day, because you can use up so much scrap paper. It's wonderful. Let's see. Mama's saying hello to everybody. Hi, Pam. I closed and good now. Bonnie says it sounds good, nice and clear. Yes. Okay, I'm so glad. And if anybody's watching on YouTube, please say hello. Leslie Ann says she's on Facebook and all is okay. Okay, great. I'm so glad the sound is good. Okay, it's always nice to hear whether or not things are working. So if you ever hear something funky or something's not working, please tell me so I can try to fix it. And that way we don't have a weird echoey recording. That's great. By the way, if you don't already know, whoopsies, I didn't quite cut that right, did I? If you don't already know, we have been doing this doodle a day. Like I said, this is day 4. So there are 3 other doodle demos available already. And you can go and see those either on Facebook, or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Artworthy Life. And Pam was very gracious to let me know that it was under my name, Marina Irish, instead of Artworthy Life. So now it is under Artworthy Life. You can just Google that. And oh, Terry, it says Facebook won't let me comment, but I'm seeing your comment. So something is working. I don't know why. I'm seeing your comment come through. Alrighty, so here's my little 2 inch by 2 inch, 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches square. And here's my tracer. And then I'm just going to use graphite paper, which I left over again. Let me grab graphite paper right there. And we're going to go ahead and use graphite paper to trace this on right here. And our graphite paper is going to go face down onto the piece of watercolor paper. And then we're going to just set the tracer right on top of that. And I'm going to make sure it's centered up because I want it nice and centered. Something like that. And then I usually use a colored pencil. You can use a colored pencil or a pen or a stylus or anything like that if you'd like to. But I'm just going to use a mechanical pencil, and that will work. And then just trace out all the lines that you see on that tracer if you have that available. Otherwise, you can just kind of follow along. If you're good at freehand. I would rather not freehand a deer, but I can when pressed. So, and then also be real careful not to press really hard down if you are using graphite paper, because you want to be able to erase some of those darkest lines. And it's nicer if those lines are not crazy, crazy dark, because while it is erasable, it doesn't erase completely. Like a lot of it will come up, but not all of it. So you'll always see the dark, dark lines. So I like for my tracer to be faint. When I'm tracing it on, I like for it to be faint, not too dark on there. Let's see. I don't know if I can see anybody on Instagram. Let me see if I can see comments. No questions yet or comments. Okay, so I'm still learning Instagram, you guys. I guess I'll figure it out as I go. But if you are on Instagram watching, thanks for watching. And hopefully I'll be able to see things as we keep going. Okay, so I'm just tracing around all these little leaves. Just a tip, if you are good at painting leaves in, you don't necessarily have to trace all these out. Sometimes it's nicer to not have the floral or leafy things traced. Sometimes it's nicer just to do those freehand, so feel free to do that. Okay, and then I just kind of peek and look and see if my tracer is there. And I know the people on Facebook have a shadow, so it's harder for you guys to see, but look at that. You can see that that is traced onto there. So make sure your tracer is good and visible for you. And now we're going to grab our little watercolor brushes. All right, so I'm going to grab my paint, and I'll try to tell you the colors I'm using as we go along, and then kind of keep my my palette where you guys can see it. Okay, so here's what we're going to start with. And I'm going to start with the lightest colors first. And this is the brush I'm going to use. This is a size 3 brush round by Liquitex. But because the brushes are so different in size for each brand, I'm just going to kind of hold it here so you guys can see. So if you have a brush that size, grab that. And then I'm going to grab some very, very light tan. To do that, I have a lot of color in my palette already, so I'm just going to kind of reactivate some of the brown and yellow that's on my palette. But that's basically a mixture of, I would say, Brilliant Yellow, number 3, and 52 Brown. So super light tan color, and then I'm going to water it down enough that I'm really not putting a ton of color. Bonnie says hello to Mom, and Terry says, oh, you had to move your phone, so it's good now? Okay, tell me, you guys, do you guys have deer in your area that you get to see? We have a lot of deer in our area, so they come out in the backyard and say hello to us. So this little deer, you'll notice it's got kind of eyebrows traced out on the tracer. But basically, that's where I'm going to leave some white space. So right now, I'm just going to paint in the ears of this little deer and then kind of come up around the bottom. And then it has this little white outline around its nose. You can look at a picture of a deer if you need more reference, but it's kind of white around its eyes and around its nose. So I'm just going to leave that like that. And then it has this nice big white patch, which I traced out on the tracer for you guys on its chest. Right there. Okay, and we're going to start adding layers. So we're going to go light to dark as usual. And we'll start by adding a little bit more brown to what we already have on the palette. And this is just the number 52 brown. And my Facebook people maybe can't see this as well. Okay, well, hopefully, oh, I almost dipped my paint into my teacup. So that's going to go on the other side. And I'm going to move my water to the side where I'm going to reach for the colors. So we're going to use a little bit darker brown and water it down some. And this is still number 52 brown, but I already have some on my palette, so I'm not pulling more over into my palette. And while this is wet, I'm going to darken up the forehead of this little deer. Oops. Make sure I don't have fuzz on my paintbrush. Darken up the little forehead, do its little ears over here. And come down a little bit on the nose. And then kind of up under the cheeks. Maybe down the side of the neck, but I'm going to leave some lighter areas because deer kind of has some light shadows going on. And then down here on its back, of course, that's going to be a little bit darker. So we're going to let that kind of fade out into a darker brown over there. Okay, and then I'm kind of blending it out into the chest over here. And just as you remember from, hey, Miss Leslie, how are you? I'm so glad you're on. You're watching on Facebook. How fun. Yay. I was broadcasting YouTube only yesterday. Those of you guys that don't know, we totally had a Facebook crash yesterday. I think it was Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, which I'm not on Twitter, so I don't really know what that looked like. But apparently Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter were all down. And so I only broadcast to YouTube. So if you missed yesterday's, it's still on YouTube under Artworthy Life if you search it. You can still find it. And that one was a really fun one. It was a little truck, a little teal truck with pumpkins in it. Oh, and WhatsApp was down too. Hi, Vanita. She says she's having trouble seeing it. Oh, you are. I just realized you are. Okay, so let's see. How can I fix that? I'm going to get a little closer. How about that? Let's see if I can get a little closer And you guys tell me on Facebook, I think Instagram is having an okay time seeing, but you guys on Facebook tell me if you can see a little better and if it looks clearer. All right. How about that? Oops. You just look and see. Oh, I know that's a little too far over for you guys. All right, let's see if I can get that to work. How about, woohoo! This is such an interesting balancing act for me, guys. Hi, Pam. I just noticed you're watching on Instagram. Thanks so much for being here. Tell me if you can hear very well. This is my first time using Instagram as well as Facebook at the same time. I'm going to move this down a little bit. Facebook people, can you see this? Oh, I see. That's really bright for you guys. I wonder why. Thank you for being patient while I'm trying to make sure it works for everybody. Maybe I can just, sorry, Instagram. You're getting wobbled around while I'm trying to fix Facebook. Okay, Facebook is clear, right? You guys can see that? Okay, and then Instagram just needs to be where you can see right there. And how am I going to do that? I will try this. Whoops. Like so. All right, Instagram, can you see? Uh-oh. Now Facebook can't see. Tell me, Facebook, if you can see. All right, Facebook, tell me if you can see. Instagram and Facebook, I think we're good. Are we both clear? Hi, Pam. Pam is watching. Pam Jones is watching on Instagram. That's so awesome. I'm so glad you're watching. All right, are we clear in both places? This is an interesting experiment. All righty, this is super up close and personal on this painting, and just so you know, it's showing up even bigger for you than it is for me because you guys are like super zoomed in. So just know it doesn't have to be super perfectly colored in everywhere. You'll notice that a lot of this is just, I'm putting color down and letting it go. And so even though you're super zoomed in, I'll zoom out later and you'll be able to see that some of the color that I'm adding doesn't have to have super crisp lines or anything really. It can just be a suggestion of shadow and color and it'll still look great. Okay, so here's our little deer ear. I'm going to color in its ear a little bit. Oh, great. I'm so glad that Instagram is looking good. Yay. And Facebook is looking good. I have it balanced on my teacup. So, you know, you do what you got to do. All righty. And Mom's on YouTube. I am broadcasting. This is so fun. I'm so glad it's going to so many places. This is great. All righty. So we're going to color in the deer's antlers real fast. Again, I'm going to use the Brilliant Yellow mixed with a little bit of brown, number 52, and watered down quite a bit. And I'm just going to color in the antlers as if they were branches, which means I'm not going to color them in perfectly. And I'm going to leave a little white space. Excusez-moi. Oh, Bonnie's watching on Instagram as well. And Bonnie, can you see pretty well? Is everything looking good on your end? All right, so we're just coloring in these little antlers kind of almost haphazardly, letting the white space shine through because bone is, well, bone or antler or whatever you want to call it is not perfectly brown. It's kind of got some white specks in it and things. And now I'm going to come in with, oops, I just noticed I'm squishing Facebook out. There we go. Oh, good on Instagram. Awesome. I'm so glad. And just so I comment everything working, why don't you guys dig through your emojis on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram, and somebody send me like a deer emoji if you can find it, or some kind of animal if you can't find a deer. That way I know all comments are working on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And Mom is also watching on Instagram. That's fun. Very cool. Okay, so now I'm going to put in a little bit more shadow, kind of on the bottom edges of the antlers. And I think I'm going to switch to my smaller brush. So I have an even smaller brush. I've been using my, this Mozart I'm sorry, not Mozart. This is Master's Touch #2 round liner brush. And now I'm going to switch over to my Liquitex liner brush #0, which is about this big. If I hold it up against my hand, it's this big. Oh, Vanita on Facebook found a deer. Vanita, can you tell me where you're watching from? Welcome to the live. I'm so glad you're here. I'm not sure if I've seen you before. Have you ever watched before? And Bonnie on Instagram said found a deer. I think it's a reindeer. Is it a reindeer? It looks like a reindeer. And then Leslie Ann also found a reindeer. That's super fun. I'm always surprised, you guys. Sometimes when you comment with emojis, I don't even know those emojis exist. So you guys are so fun. All right, we're going to use this liner brush because it is so thin and I can do these fine lines. And I'm just going to add shadow with some real light #52 brown coming up along the edges. So I would encourage you guys, if you have not seen yesterday's live, go ahead and watch it on YouTube and tell me what you think, because it is the first of our doodles in October that incorporated the color teal. And so we will be adding teal here and there as kind of a fun accent color for fall. And so you'll have to tell me if you end up watching that one, what you thought of that one as well. And hopefully a few of you will be able to paint it and I'll get to see it. Okay, yeah, and tell me, you guys, how many of you have deer in your area? I'm not sure if I saw comments come through. Okay, Vanita says she's in, I don't know if I know how to pronounce that. Maybe you can type out how to pronounce that. Is it Clallam? Clallam? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. But she's in Washington and it's her first time watching. Her cousin is Terry Watson. Oh, how cool. That's fun. Well, thank you, Anita, for watching. You know, and I hope I'm saying your name right, but you know we live in Vanita with an E. That's really cool. That's really cool. Anita says she has a lot of deer there. Yeah, I'm sure you do. You've got a lot of woods in your area too, right? And Pam says in her backyard, she often sees deer. That's so fun. So fun. Hi, Dan. Thanks for watching. So glad you're on. We're painting a doodle a day, and this is our #4 doodle for those of you that are new and haven't been here before. Every day this month, we will have a doodle tracer available and a demo to get you guys going for fall. And I'm really thrilled with them so far, and I think people have really been enjoying them. So we're going to keep going with this. And I hope to see your paintings or doodles if you end up using pen or marker or whatever. Please go ahead and share it on your page. And if you're liking this video right now, please go ahead and share it on Facebook or Instagram. Tag somebody that you think might enjoy it. That really helps me out, and it also shares the free resource. This is a totally free demo for the entire month, and you get a bunch of free tracers. Oh, can you guys, if you guys downloaded the tracer, can you put a, let's see, can you put the cowboy hat emoji smiling face in the comments if you downloaded the tracer? That way I know who's getting access to that, because it is being sent, it is being posted. And then I sent one out via email yesterday, but I just want to know who's able to take advantage of that. Oh, Leslie says she referred 2 of her Western music friends. Oh, that's so fun. Terry Watson put a unicorn in the comments. So maybe that means, does that mean you were able to download the tracer, or was that just a fun comment? Vanita says she always has deer on her property. And they make the best neighbors. Oh, I agree. They're super fun. Oh, Leslie Ann did download the tracer. Okay, great. I'm so glad. And you saw it. Leslie Ann, did you see it posted on Facebook? Is that where you saw it? Did anybody on Instagram download the tracer? I put it in my bio. Okay, so you can see I'm adding just a little bit of brown around the edges. And even on the side that the light is hitting, I'm going to add just a little bit of brown to define that edge, because otherwise that side of the deer is just going to totally disappear. So I'm going to use a little brown over there and kind of use a little water to fade it in like that. But this is still kind of a doodle, so I don't want to get way too detailed. I just want to get the basic shading in so that the deer definitely has shape. And then we can just use water, clean water, on the brush to fade that in. So it's a wet brush with no more pigment, and I'm just using that to kind of fill the color in. Alrighty, now we're gonna work on the darker areas. So I'm gonna grab some more of that brown. We're gonna come in around the deer's nose. Thank you for the hearts on Instagram, that's fun. Okay, Leslie Ann says she had to copy paste and print. Okay, Leslie Ann, did you know there's a link also? I have a link with a printable. So if you were able to grab that, let me know. There was a link with the newest one this morning. So this deer has a little bit of brown around his nose. It's very cute. And so I'm just gonna draw that brown in a little bit there. And it kind of comes up and around his little black nose. And then his lip, his bottom lip is white, so I don't really want to color that in too much. So I'll just kind of come up around the bottom of the lip. He's got this cute little fuzzy. Look at that nose. Isn't he cute? He's so sweet. Now we're going to paint in the black areas. And I typically, you guys have heard me, typically what the, oh, Leslie Ann says the link didn't work. That's interesting. Did anybody else try the link to see if it would work? I did try to update it this morning. So thank you for the feedback, because that tells me whether I need to do something different. Okay, I'm going to use brown mixed with black, and that's just the normal number 62 deep black in this palette. And if you're just joining us, the palette I'm using is Como Rebbe Mozart, and I almost never use straight black. So you guys will notice I'll often say black, but I'm using a black mixed with brown. And that's what I'm using right now. So I'm going to be real sparing with this black because, you know, the nose and the eyes of a deer is what makes it. I would rather have less is more than have a perfectly shaped nose over here. So I'm just kind of dotting that in, and I think I'm just going to leave it kind of a hint of a nose. I'm not even going to worry about having the whole nose painted in. So just kind of like that. Look at that. How sweet. Oh, Bonnie couldn't get the link to work either. I am so sorry, you guys. Okay, I will try to work on that. And maybe, so you put your information in and then you like put your email in to get it and then it didn't come through. Is that what it was? Oh, thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Miss Leslie. She says that the nose looks real. I'm so glad. Thank you. The one friend had a cowboy. Oh, the one friend, a cowboy poet, is recovering from illness and has lost her inspiration to write. Oh, the other lady, a photographer, suggested art. She lost her husband 4 years ago and has been down ever since. I think your art might cheer her up. Oh, that would be fun. I would love to have them on. That would be so cool. Okay, so just a little bit of a nose there, and the dots you're seeing there is not the nostrils. It's actually shine on the front of the nose where the light is hitting the nose. So I'm also going to come up kind of underneath here and give a nice dark dot of black right there, because that's where the nostril actually is. I want to make sure that's showing. Okay, so there's the nose, and we're just going to go with less is more. So when you're filling in something like that, it's okay to just touch it a little bit. And once it looks good, just stop ahead, because it's easier to stop early than it is to try to fix it later if you put a little too much down. So same thing on the eyes. I'm actually going to start with the left eye. Here's a tip whenever you're drawing something realistic that has eyes. Always start with the eye that you are less confident about. Because that's the eye that's going to be harder to paint. For me, that's usually it's the eye on the left side of the page, so it's actually their right eye. But the eye on the left side of the page, because I'm right-handed, so it's harder for me to go over there to that side. And then also on this deer, we have the added struggle of it being only part of an eye. So I do that eye first, so that if this eye needs to compensate by being a little bigger or a little smaller, I'm going to be more steady with the right eye, and I can make the right eye match the left eye. But it's harder to make the more difficult eye match the eye that's already like absolutely perfect. Okay, same with this eye. Once it looks good, I'm just going to leave it. And that looks pretty good to me. I might just add a little bit underneath here, but I don't want to go too far with this. So that's good enough for me. This is a small doodle, so it's difficult to do a ton of detail. It's better to just leave it once it looks good enough. That's a good tip, especially if you're just learning to draw. Like, don't feel like you have to add all the detail. If it already looks good, leave it. I'm going to put a little bit of almost like an eyelid here with some light brown. There's just a little bit of detail in this deer. I'm going to try to draw that in with tan. And that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to put a little bit here. But it does have white like around its eyes, so I don't want to cover that up too much. Just had this like interesting color going on here. And then it has fuzzy little ears. So I'm going to use a light tan, same color. So this is like a brilliant yellow and maybe a little bit of number 10 orange mixed with brown. And I'm going to do these little hairs that are coming out from its ear. So just kind of flick out from the ear there. I'm going to do them here as well. And that will kind of give the inner ear some shape as well. And then I'm going to come a little darker. Normally, like I said yesterday, I wouldn't be able to come in and do these darker colors right away because if it was a bigger painting, I'd have to wait for them to dry. Since it's so small, they dry real fast. So I can just come in almost immediately and do that second layer of shading. Like that. Ms. Thang on Instagram says no volume, can't hear. So you guys on Instagram, tell me if there's no volume. Tell me if things are sounding good. Leslie Hansen says good advice. That's great. You are being so very punny this morning. Very nice. And then I just need the people on Instagram to let me know if you are hearing me, because it looks like maybe there may not be sound or something might be going wrong there. Okay, Pam says she can hear on Instagram, so hopefully we're okay. Maybe it's something on her end. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of darker shading under this ear here. And that, the reason for that darker shading, even though the ear basically looked okay before I did that, is because look how dark the eyes are. You don't want the eyes to be like the only thing that's pitch black right there, because they'll just look like these little beady, creepy eyes. So we got to have something else in the painting that pulls out that darkest black. And the inside of the ear is a good place to put that. So I'm just going to give it, and it doesn't have to be a lot. See how little I'm doing and it looks okay? I can also put a little bit of darker hairs on the top of its head and kind of up these little antlers as well. And that'll bring that darker black into the rest of the painting so it doesn't look weird to have just all that dark color. And I know a lot of you guys like to paint super light, and that's totally fine. But I will just encourage you, if you are learning watercolors, learn how to get a teeny brush like this and add tiny bits of dark color to your really light, airy paintings, because the darkest shadows make the brightest parts of your painting pop. If you don't have those dark shadows, those lighter areas don't look nearly as bright and light as they are. And so you can see the highlights on this deer look way better when you have those darker shadows in there. Okay. Oh, Lydia Sherman is watching on YouTube. I'm so glad you're on this morning. Oops. I'm sorry, you Facebook people. I keep pushing the camera in the way and you weren't able to see. Okay, there you go. Hopefully you can see again. Facebook and YouTube. So I'm so glad, Lydia, you're able to see and watch today. That's really fun. And have you been able to do any of the other paintings with us? I should ask you if you've been able to follow along with any of them. I know you've been crazy busy. I do want to add a little bit more color to this deer. He's looking a little faint. So I want maybe just a little more color over here on his cheeks. And I'm going to let my brush be a little bit dry so I can create some texture. So see how my brush, I'm not sure if you guys can tell. My brush is a little bit, I guess you can't tell, a little bristly, a little dry, a little bristly. And so that's allowing me to give him just a little bit of furry texture, actually, kind of fuzzy. So I'm just going to kind of touch his nose I'm going to touch the ridge of his nose here too. And then I'm going to do that underneath the neck as well. Oops, got to get a little bit more pigment. And that'll also soften that line where I put the tracer. And then this white patch that I have here, I love it, but I don't like how white it is. I'm going to soften it up a little bit by painting it in some. So he needs, first of all, he needs a little shadow under his neck. So that's going to help define the neck a little. And then I'm going to bring that out a little bit. So it still shows that it's darker there, but he needs some shadow to make his neck a little separate from the rest of the body. And just kind of make it almost like a triangle shape. And that'll be a good little shadow right there. And I can bring a little bit more brown right up under the chin. I'm going to keep that pretty soft though, because like I said, it's easier to not put the color down than it is to try to fix the shape later. And I've already got a nice shape going for his face, so I don't want to disturb that too much. Here's my bristly brush again, coming to do some texture. And then I'm going to use a clean, wet brush with no more pigment to just blend in those edges. And I'm going to get a little bit more brown now and darken his back just a little bit more. And then I can use a clean, wet brush again to pull that color toward the center again. All right. Miss Leslie says, I can almost feel the furry hair by the way you are describing it. Oh, yay. I'm so glad. All righty, so that's about all I want to do with the deer. This is still a doodle, so I don't want to go crazy. And I know you guys yesterday were like, that was not a doodle. Well, it was a doodle. It was small and cute. So we're going to do some leaves right now. And I'm going to start with these pointier leaves right here and here. We're going to do the same. So I'm going to say good pumpkin kind of color. And that's going to be the, the number 10 orange with a little bit of brilliant yellow. So if you're following along, it's number 10 and number 3 in your palette. And guys, you don't have to use the palette I'm using. I'm just giving you guys exact colors because I know it's been helpful for you guys. So tell me if that's helpful for you. Hopefully I'm describing the colors for you well enough. Pam says my brown is great, but hers looks too yellow. So maybe add a little bit of black or even just a little bit more brown to it. If it's too yellow, it's too warm. So you want to add something that's going to cool it off a little bit, and that'll give it more of a natural brown, deer brown color. Hopefully that helps, Pam. Tell me if that gets you going in the right direction. Alrighty, we're going to paint this in with a nice orange color here first, around the edges. And then on the center of this flower, this is not a flower, leaf, I'm gonna use brilliant yellow watered down quite a bit and just kind of touch the center of this. Now, I'm not a huge fan of bright yellow, so even my yellow that I'm using is a little bit orange. I basically want the center of this leaf to be a little bit more yellow. Now, I just put way too much water on that leaf, if you guys can tell. I'm not sure if you can tell. So my water watered down almost all of the color there. So I'm drying it up right now and kind of fixing that. But I want to tell you guys that so you can see, even while I'm painting, a lot of times I'll slip or make a mistake or whatever, and it's not like the end of the world. You can fix it super easily. One problem is I'm using too big of a brush. So I'm going to switch to my smaller brush. I'm going to touch the edges of this little wet painting with orange again and let that bleed in. Ooh. Hopefully that comes back this way. There we go. This is so small that it almost doesn't matter if there's a little mistake here and there, which is really nice. But at the same time, I do still want the little pieces of it to be well defined. Okay, so I'm just kind of letting that orange, whoa, there went in a lot of water again. Just kind of letting that color blend in. See how I can chase that water around? I just soaked it up like a sponge. Isn't that nice? Watercolor is so forgiving. I love it. And some people think, no, it's not. Acrylic is forgiving. You can just paint right over it. But actually, I mean, with acrylic, once you put it down on the canvas, you have to paint over it. You can't soak it up. But while watercolor is wet, you can actually just soak it up, like sponge it up like a sponge. So they're both forgiving in their own ways. So I'm using this brighter orange, but I don't love super, super bright orange. So as I'm adding it, I'm kind of muting it with some yellow, and I think that kind of matches the tone of fall leaves. Love the fall leaves. Miss Leslie says I should share some of the interesting ones our trees drop over here. Yes, that would be great. I'd love it. I know you gave me some great leaves last year to look at and paint. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have pictures of beautiful leaves, Pam had a beautiful picture of trees today that she sent me. I love to get that kind of inspiration. Hi, Stan. Let's see. Stan Smith is watching on Instagram. Thanks for being on. Tell me where you are, Stan, and where you're watching from. All right, so I'm actually going to flip this upside down because it's easier for me to paint a leaf pulling away from the little points of it. And so this little leaf down here is almost the same shape, so I'm going to paint it the same way so those kind of match. And you can see the edges of that leaf are kind of pointy right there. So pulling that down like that, and all along the edges. And then I'm going to just use a clean brush to fade in the inside so the outsides are a little bit darker. And I like to sort of sweep the little puddles of pigment to the edges. You can kind of see how I'm pushing that outward. And then I can go back and grab a little bit more orange. Get a little orange and a little brown mixed together. And I can kind of touch the edges of this painting, of this little leaf while it's brown, and let that pigment blend on its own. Bonnie says, I'm really loving watercoloring. It's becoming one of my favorite mediums. These little doodles are teaching me patience. Oh, I love it. I love that so much. Miss Leslie says, very nice. Oh, thank you very much. If you haven't already said where you're watching from, please go ahead and leave in the comments where you're watching from. I'd like to see where everybody's at. And thank you guys for being so patient as I figured out the technology this morning. I will, now that we know what works, tomorrow will be much smoother, hopefully, and I hope you'll join us tomorrow. And I should ask while we're live here, if you can think of any fall-themed doodles that you would like to see, leave them in the comments right here. We did that yesterday, and I got some great ideas. So go ahead and leave some ideas in the comments, and I'll read those off. And if something looks super interesting that I think a lot of people might want to see, or if we get multiple requests for it, we will definitely include it. So please go ahead and leave some ideas if you think of something, especially things that you in particular want to learn to paint or want to see a doodle of. I will do my best to incorporate the ones that I can. On this little leaf, I'm adding a little bit more brown because I like that deeper, crunchy kind of brown fall leaf color. So what I'm doing is, because it's so small, I'm adding some dark pigment, and then I'm using a clean wet brush to pull that pigment down into the center of the leaf like that. Okay, that's probably good enough. It doesn't actually have to be real perfect there. We're going to add a little bit of veins and things later. Bonnie's watching from South Florida. Miss Leslie's watching from Veneta, Oregon. Anybody else want to share where they're watching from? We've had people watching from other countries before, so I always like to ask that. Now I'm going to switch to a different color. This is going to be olive green. We used this color on Saturday when we did day one of the October Doodle a Day challenge. So day one, we used our olive green number 45, and I'm going to use that right now on this little oak leaf. And there are two, so we'll use that twice. Just kind of go around, and just be careful that you're not painting right up against any wet areas. So I'm making sure that the leaf that I've already painted over here, that this one is butted up against, is already dry. Otherwise, my colors could flow together accidentally. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of use a wet, see how I'm using a wet, clean brush to blend that color all the way in. And that's really fun because that just kind of fades it out without me having to add more pigment. Leslie Hansen says, ripe corn on the stalk. Good idea. Live turkeys. Oh, live turkeys. That would be fun. Yeah, I like turkey. Turkey feathers are so pretty to paint. Yeah, anything like that you can think of. Feel free to leave it in the comments if you can think of something that you might want to see. And I might paint it. So make sure you leave it in the comments so I know what you're interested in painting. Okay, so same color here, that olivey green color, just a little bit. And then I'm going to clean my brush off and come in with a wet, clean brush, just slightly wet, and use that to sweep all that color into the center of the leaf. And again, I can kind of push the pigment to the edges like that. You can see I can kind of shove the pigment toward the corners of the leaf, and it's almost like you're sweeping the pigment out of the way and toward the edges, and that creates a nice cool little edge on your watercolor as well. Terry says, good idea. Yeah, those are all good ideas. Yeah, Terry, can you think of any others? This was a great idea for this painting. And now I'm going to add just a little bit of, I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that rusty red color. And that is a mixture of crimson, number 17, number 10 orange, and our brown, our trusty number 52 brown that we've been using for so long. And it ends up being a nice rust color. I don't have a true rust color already in this palette, so I have to kind of mix it up myself. But I like that because then I can get it exactly the tone that I'm wanting. Okay, and we're going to use that for most of these little leaves around here. Here's that deep red. I'm going to leave a little white space on this leaf here. Noticed I didn't leave white space on the other leaves, so I'm going to leave a little bit here. And coming back in with a clean wet brush to kind of push that color around. And I'm going to come in a little darker with brown and a little bit of black to darken up the edges of this so that that leaf isn't totally flat. And here's another one. I'm going to use that same rust color. I didn't go true red at all on the other painting that included red because I wanted to make sure my colors stayed really warm like fall. So I didn't go any brilliant reds. But I know that some people that were watching yesterday are planning on painting their little truckload of pumpkins using a red truck. So I think that's going to be really pretty. I can't wait to see those finished paintings. On this little leaf here, I'm not going to paint it all the way in. You can see I'm leaving white space there. Just kind of letting it be a little bit. This leaf is not quite as red as the other, so I'm going to add a little bit more red to it. And then I'm going to add some red here. You can see how small this painting is. I don't have to be real strict on the leaf shape. It can just kind of be there. And then one more down here, like that. These are just basic leaf shapes, just a round like football shape. So super fun. You can add them anywhere that your painting has gaps. So if you were to do this little leaf pattern around another animal or something, just kind of pile up a bunch of leaves, and anywhere where you're like, ah, that needs something, just add a little round football shaped leaf. I'm going to add one more leaf, the same color as this orange leaf up here at the top. I'm just going to put him in right here. That little leaf was a he in my brain. Oh, Miss Leslie. Oh, Leslie Ann says she has to go, but she will finish later. Yay! Okay, I can't wait for you to. I can't wait to see yours. You'll have to post a picture when you're done. And Terry says a basket full of something. That would be pretty. Full of what now? What would you think it had to be filled with? Terry's really happy I did this one. Love, dear. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yes, it's really fun to do. I like it. And Miss Leslie says fall flowers like dahlias fall crocus, or even pink camellias. We have, those bloom in November? Ooh, how fun. Okay, well, that would be cool. You'll have to show me pictures and then maybe I can do it. I'm just filling this little last leaf in, and then you can tell I add a bunch of pigment to it because it is so small. Sometimes it's hard to get it all at once. And then I clean my brush off and come back with a slightly wet, clean brush and kind of push that color around like that. Real simple. Okay, so now you can tell all the leaves are they're finished color-wise, but they need a little bit more definition. So I'm going to come back in with Bonnie says a basket full of apples. That's a good idea. Leslie Hansen says gourds in a basket. Yeah, that's a good idea too. I think Pam just painted some gourds and I was really inspired by those. So that's definitely a good idea. For sure, for sure. Okay, we're going to come back on this little leaf here. Let me flip it around because I like to have my brush going the right direction. Whoops. And then I'm going to kind of outline the edges of this one to define these edges. I'm not outlining this painting. I just want to clarify. Outlining makes your paintings look like a little coloring book. What I'm adding is a very fine shadow to some of the edges. Okay, so make sure as you're going around that you're not truly outlining. You'll find that kind of cheapens the look of your painting. Okay, now I'm adding veins. And maybe or maybe not in the right areas, but it's such a small painting, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then we're going to turn around and do it here. I'm going to add a little bit more orange to the brown I was just using so that it doesn't look weird on top of this orange leaf. And then make sure I've watered it down enough so it's not crazy dark. And then I'm going to do the same thing, just add some edges where this leaf needs to be a little bit more defined on its shape, so it's not just fading into the background, basically. And then I can kind of do that along the edge that touches the deer as well, so that it's not fading into the deer. And then especially these areas where it's overlapping some of the other leaves, we don't want it just to look like a blob of color, even though it basically is a little blob of color. And give it a little bit more shape. And then this little stem, I can kind of use that as my starting point for my vein that's coming up and away from the little stem. Oops. And then out toward the edges. Can do a few like that. I don't have to paint in every little vein, just a few things to give it more shape right there. Ta-da! Like that. And then we can come over to the green ones. I'm just going to use the same olive green I used earlier with a little bit of brown mixed in to darken it up. Just enough to give it a shadow, and then we're going to go along the edges of this one as well. I need to make sure these edges look soft because this leaf has a nice round shape to it, so I'm going to try to make sure I have good curving edges on that. And then this one's going to be a little difficult to not look like I'm just outlining because it is such a light color. So to fix that, I'm going to add a little bit more green to one side of it. So I'm going to take that same olivey green and just kind of go along one edge with a wet brush and pull that color in. And then I can even do a little bit of shadow on this side. There you go. See how that pulls in that shadow just a little bit so it doesn't just look like, oh, they outlined that, so that it would pop more. And I can put a little shadow down here by where the other leaf overlaps it. And now that looks a little bit better, and I can just pull the vein out like that. Ta-da! Doesn't take a whole lot. See how that didn't take a lot, and that's way better than what we started with. Okay, coming over here to this other one. Gonna do something similar. Add a little bit of shadow to the edges, maybe not a ton, just enough to define it a little bit more. like that. And then we'll come down the middle, give it a little bit more green there. And now we're going to draw the little vein. So a little bit of green and a little bit of brown. You can draw that vein up the middle. There we go. See, not too bad. And last but not least, those little round football-shaped leaves need a little bit of stems or veins coming up the center of them. I don't know what you call those. Would you guys call those veins? Leslie Hansen says Indiana corn, or Indiana, Indian corn. Mandan bride, I'm not sure if I said that right, is really pretty. I have some pictures of varieties of colors we have grown. Oh, how fun. Yeah, so like the colorful corn and stuff. Yeah, I think somebody also said the cornucopia with all the produce in it on the inside. I think that would be really pretty. Yeah, a lot of those. Good ideas, guys. You're giving me good inspiration. I might not have to come up with anything myself. I might just look at your ideas and do those. That would be fun. All right, coming over here, doing this little leaf, basically outlining the edge and then giving it a little seam in the middle. And then I have one left over here to do. And come down on one edge to give it some more shadow. And kind of let some veins come out that way. And we can do this one as well. Not real particular on those. Alrighty, and let me straighten that out so you guys can see. There is our deer for day 4 of the October Doodle a Day project. If you are not already joining us for the October Doodle a Day challenge, I hope you actually download some of the tracers. You know, you could just color them in with colored pencils. They certainly don't have to be this detailed. They could just be, you know, colored pencils or pens, whoa, or anything that you think might be fun to work with. Sorry, Instagram, I just dropped you on your face. Thank you, people who are watching on Instagram and being so patient with my technology glitches and everything. And all of you who are normally watching on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for your patience as well. I hope today was a fun demo. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and share it to anyone that you think might enjoy it. And join us tomorrow. I'm going to work on getting the download link to work properly. So thank you guys for telling me that was not working. And tomorrow you should have a downloadable PDF tracer that you can just print and cut out and use on your doodle. Alrighty, thank you so much. God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.